Fashioning the dark, tarry stuff into a dart, I exited the work tent just in time to see the taillights flash on Will's car as he shifted it into gear. I tossed the shadow dart overhand, imbuing it with a bit of my will on the release. The projectile sailed in a high arc, adjusting its course on the fly so it landed on the rear surface of the vehicle, softly enough to avoid alerting the driver. Once the magic had adhered to the sedan, it transformed into a dozen small charcoal-gray spiders that skittered across the boot cover and into the seams around the lid. The spell had a twofold purpose. First, to allow me to track the vehicle, and second, to provide a means of eavesdropping on their conversation. At least one of the little shadow golems would surreptitiously deposit itself in the girl's backpack. That would ensure that I'd know where she was, even after she left the Predator's automobile. Clever. I don't require your praise, Wraith. I know the quality of my work. The Wraith merely laughed in reply, making a hollow, evil sound. I ignored it, focusing on the task at hand. Despite having a redundant tracking spell in place, I made for my Jaguar with all due haste, eager as I was to finally capture the target. It had taken me weeks to track one down, and I was not about to lose it due to apathy born of hubris. Trailing the silver sedan from a block away, I listened in as Will made disarmingly casual conversation with Jessica. What sort of music she liked, what her favorite animal was, the types of food she liked to eat, that sort of thing. Not so shockingly, Will's tastes leaned toward those of a school-age girl, and the two chatted amiably until Will drove past the mobile home park off Loyola. "You passed my house," Jessica remarked, with just the slightest hint of concern in her voice. "Did I? I guess I was distracted because I'm worried about Whiskers. The poor boy is hungry because he hasn't eaten all day. Is it okay if we go to my house to feed him before I take you home?" The pup was likely to be sitting in the girl's lap, and I imagined her stroking its short golden hair as she replied, "I guess so, but I don't want my grandma to worry." "We won't be long." The man was silent for the span of a few heartbeats before he continued. "You know what would help me a lot?" "What's that?" "If you could feed Whiskers for me when we get to my house." "Can I?" "Sure you can. All his food and toys are downstairs. I'll show you where, then you can feed him while I take care of a few things. After that, we'll head right back to drop you off before your grandma even knows you missed your stop." A basement in Central Texas, installed by the owner himself, no doubt. Utterly predictable. The girl giggled with giddy excitement, and I tuned them out as they engaged in further, mostly harmless conversation. By the time Will had turned into a lonely gravel drive on J.M. Holloway Lane, shadows were lengthening as the sun set over the distant Austin skyline. The driveway led to a weather-beaten farmhouse and detached garage with faded blue siding and a gray asphalt shingle roof. 50 yards or so past that sat a collection of old cars, discarded appliances, and metal shipping containers, rusting away on what I assumed to be the back acreage of the lot. I drove on for half a block, pulling onto the shoulder on the rear side of a boat and marine junkyard that looked more graveyard than salvage. After casting a look-away, go-away spell on my sports car, I exited and cloaked myself in shadow. Stalking through the sparse trees that lined the border between the junkyard and the side yard of the house, I reached the rear door just as I heard the front screen door bang shut. Moving as quickly as stealth would allow, I located an access point to the crawl space under the house. On entering, the faint smell of decomposing corpses was the first thing I noticed. There was, indeed, a basement here, as the home had been built over a buried metal shipping container. It was clever, in the worst possible way. Unfortunately, the owner had poured an enclosed concreted stairwell to allow him access to his dungeon, which meant I'd not be entering via this route. No matter. Events would take their natural course in short order. I exited the crawl space and hid by the back door, waiting until such time as I might catch my target unguarded and vulnerable.